Okay, before the break, we were looking at some points of storytelling, um, key points of that. Oh, did somebody ask a question? Oh, did you know you're unmuted, David?
Oops, sorry,
Sorry,
my bad.
no problem. It's such an easy thing to forget. Feel free to unmute and speak up anytime, but it sounds like you're with other people right now too. So watching the eclipse, it's getting close. It's getting dimmer outside, so um, I can see a little bit of the shape change where the sunbeam hits the corner of my aquarium this time of day and passes through the water. But I think we got a few minutes still. So we were looking at some key points of storytelling, and we need to work those into a game somehow. Let's look at Godot, and this will probably be a short second half of the lecture today. There's really just two things I want to look at. Something about interactions, because we haven't actually seen that yet. I have a short idea, and then we'll probably do switch between scenes afterwards once it seems like there's something to switch between scenes with. I don't know why I just opened the browser. Don't need the browser, need Godot. And I'll just start a new project. I just cleared this out. I graded all y'all's homework yesterday, so there was a whole bunch of projects here, which I think we saw the scan button. You can just scan, and actually you can just go up to the top level, and if you just like scan the C drive, it would find every Godot project in your game. And then as they get deleted, like when I graded your all's homework yesterday and deleted the files afterwards, it shows up here with like a little red icon. You can just hit the remove missing button and that'll clear out the list. Obviously, I cleared out the list, so we need something new. I'm just going to call this interact. We're just going to do a simple interaction to show how to do that. Create a new folder. Forward compatibility. Probably use Git for version control. I don't know if we'll have time to get into the version control stuff. It's a plugin we turn on, and then the stuff just shows up right here. Under version control, yeah, might as well just create version control metadata. Yeah, so create a version for Git, and then we can go to version control settings. Oh, why didn't I like that? That should have given us version control on this project. We go over to documents where it started. Notice we have the Git files in there, the attributes and the ignore. Those kind of start off there every time. And somewhere there was I thought it was a button right there that just puts the Git controls right over here next to the inspector panel. Well, maybe I need to install a plugin.
What are you? You're clicking.
Oh, I'm gonna have to look into this later. I was trying to remember how to turn on the panel for all the Git version control stuff, and I couldn't remember. I apparently don't remember where that's located at. So I will look into that, and we'll see that some other time. I was thinking to do that, try to get that in at the end, but I was like, oh well, it's just really quick. But under project,
Do you maybe need to create instead of version first, then do version control settings?
Um, I clicked both of them. I was expecting a third button here, or actually maybe it was down here under tools. Um, but I'm apparently not remembering where the button is. So I'm going to have to look back into that, and we will do that in our next class example, because I was just going to show you where it was here, but I had something else planned for today. So big thing that we're going to need on the next game that's coming due is how do our game objects interact with each other? So I'm just going to create a new scene. I probably don't need to rename it or anything just yet. But what do we need here? I guess we'll need a character that moves around. That way we can slowly interact with something. I'm just going to drag the icon in here. And then I'm going to grab the icon and make it a child of that. Which, if I click on them, notice that they're not in the same location. So whenever you do it that way, which is the easiest way, make sure you go set all of your transform data, the position, rotation, and scale to the same spot. And then just like we saw before, we need some sort of shape to it. So I'll do a collision shape 2D as a child of that character, and the picture square, so I'll just give it a quick box. Zoom in and try to get the about the right size. And at this point, probably attach the character script to it and give it a first trial run. What's a good name for this? This would be interact. Oh. Interact.tscn, which is the Godot scenes. So it has those basic things. It right now just gravity. It just starts falling. So we're probably going something more interesting than that. And zoom buttons are getting in my way. I'll try putting them down there. I'll come back over to 2D scene. Well, first thing, I want to move that. Oh, if I have the selection tool, this one's probably just a useful thing to show. The character body's selected, but if I click and try to drag, notice that since this was on top, it automatically did that other selection. So I'll just undo that real quick. Control Z to undo. I'll go to character body. It's really useful to highlight, to click the button here for your transform tools. So move, rotate, or scale, depending on which one you want. I'll set it to move, and then you can click and move that with all the children at once. Going to just fall past the bottom, so we probably need some sort of static body for it to hit. So I'll come back up to the world. These are like we saw before, right? Some static body, 2D in this case, to make a platform, which we need an image for. So to save time, I'm just going to drag the same image in, make it a child of that. But again, notice they're not in the same position. So we want to make sure and reset our transform. So they're in the same position now. I think I use the scale feature on this and just stretch that out wide enough to be a platform for the whole game. Squeeze it down, that'll probably work. Oh, same thing. Then we need some sort of boundary to define where that collision is. Add a collision shape 2D as a child and scale that out to the same size. I can't hardly see it. Whoop, that wasn't it. collision shape. Oh, have to put a box first. Have to give it a shape. So again, it's fairly square. So I'll just put a basic box shape and then stretch this out to cover that whole platform area. This is something that happens a lot with Godot in particular. Since we have that image, uh, we can use that image to get all of our box to get a bunch of things going quickly and then finish out later. So now our character should stop when it hits that platform, right? There's that. And then it's got the character script. So the arrows move it back and forth, do some jumping. But we need something to interact with. That's the main point of this. So I guess I need one more thing to interact with. Just have one image. So I'll just drag one over here, set it like here or something. This one's a little bit different though. This one, there's multiple ways we could do this. It could be another player that moves independently, an NPC or a mob, and then something happens. I just want to show how do we set that trigger. So if it was another like NPC or mob, we might do it as a character body, and then have that character body somewhere in the script tell it how to move, or if it's opponent, the opponent have it attack us, all sorts of different things. I'm just going to do this as an area, a space it needs to get to. So under node 2D, I'm going to add a new one and search for area 2D. So in this case, yeah, the name's kind of obvious. It's not a static body or a rigid body or a character body or a vehicle body or any of the things that we would directly control. This is just a space on the screen, and then I'll make that image a child of that space on the screen, which once again, they're not in the same spot. You can see the highlightings here at the origin on that one. And here it's at these coordinates relative to the parent. So reset the transform again. And then the little warning here, same thing we get from static bodies. There's no shape to that area. There's an area defined, but just like when we first put a static body in there, there's no shape for that area, so it's only defined graphically and logically. It's not defined physically yet. So those same pieces over and over and over again. We need the logic, the graphics, and the physics. So I'll add a collision shape. I almost never use areas. Not my preferred way of doing that, but it's a very popular way of doing it. I guess it is easier than what I'm used to doing. We might be able to just interact with the area directly, but I'll just go through sort of a similar thing. Consistency is really nice at times. So this doesn't have any physics applied. It's just some graphics there. It could be a background, but there is a shape defined, this little rectangle in our world that has both the logical part we can refer to in scripts, the icon, the graphical part, and the physical part. But it's not a physical object. So unlike the ground, which is a static body, we just move right past that. In our case, behind, because it's lower in the hierarchy. I guess we have a good look at this. If I grab it here and then drag it up to the top, so I just clicked and drug up, and y'all probably know what's going to happen this time. That makes it so that our character is in front of it now. I'll drag it back down here to the bottom somewhere. Oops, not there. I'll drag it over the node 2D and make sure it's a child of that. So I don't want it to be, actually, I guess in this case, it would have been okay as a child of that other one, but usually we want to be careful with the parent-child relationships. But now all this stuff's defined. The physical bodies, the character and the static body, that's going to automatically interact, apply some physics whenever those hit each other. But for our area, nothing's happening yet because we haven't, and we have to go through and define those. Y'all, I think, already did this on buttons and stuff. But if we go to node, what you did in buttons the first couple weeks with those things we used in simple programs that'll be used for, probably used for HUDs later, we do a similar thing with every node we have in here. So if I go to area 2D and go to node, there's a bunch of different things. So the enter the area, exit the area, enter the shape of the body, or since it has a collision, we do some input events on it, have the mouse there. I'm gonna do the area shape. When we get to that space, we'll do stuff. So I'll just choose, these are all the events that can happen with that node, basically. We can hover our mouse over it. We could assign something in our input manager to it. We could draw it. We turn the visibility on or off for the graphics. When we turn the visibility on, that's drawing it. And when we turn the visibility off, so things that flash on and off the screen, that's an event that we can react to. Where's it at in the hierarchy tree? So that and all of its children are in the hierarchy. So maybe we could just interact with that in the hierarchy tree. There a moment ago where I accidentally made that a child of static body. We could do stuff off this based off interacting with the platform that it's sitting on. So we would just choose whichever event we want. I'm going to go with shape entered. That's probably an easy one. And we'll double click on it. We get these options. So it's going to send a signal. So it sends this particular signal, and you'll see some parameters, the area, the ID for the area we passed into, the 2D. So we get a lot of information sent. And then the second part is what script do we want to create this function in? We have to write a function for something to happen on that event. So in our case, we only had one script, so it just defaulted to that. If we wanted to do something for like the static body 2D, it would ask us to add a script to it first. We just have the one, so I'm gonna do this. And here's a default name. So on area 2D shape entered, I'll keep that default name and hit connect. And you can see it automatically wrote that function for us with all of those parameters that are going to be passed in from the game engine. I'm going to delete this real quick. Notice over here how it showed up in the inspector or the node panel in the area we usually have the inspector panel. For the area shape entered, it showed up here, so we can make multiple assignments there as well. I'm gonna take this out. Come back to the 2D view. I guess I should probably just delete that. Oh no, not delete. Oh, right click on it and disconnect. So I'm gonna do that again. So when something to happen with the area and all of its children, because it could just come down to the collision shape. And when something with that collision shape happens, or the picture itself, under the node panel, if we choose the icon, we have a bunch of things here as well. Area is just kind of set up to be a parent. So notice we have area 2D, but then the collision shape, the icon, and the hierarchy are all there anyway. I'm gonna go to the same one, the area shape entered, so that when we get there, something can happen. And this default name probably isn't the one you want. We want something better. I don't know, I'm gonna write bang. So notice now it created this function called bang. So probably want to give it a useful name when you're adding that. I don't want to do much here. Well, I want to add some white space just because I don't like typing at the bottom of a window. And for a simple example here, I'm just going to move it upward. I'm just going to make it go up. So I'll change the velocity. To a new vector 2 that goes maybe up and back. So whenever it runs and hits that area, the character's just going to bounce back. We could turn the picture off too. We'll do that in a second. When it hits that area, we'll go back like negative 500 in the X. And what's the jump? Jump's negative 400. So we'll go further up than that, like negative 800. Why doesn't it like this? Oh, sorry, I don't need the walrus operator there. The walrus operator is for defining stuff. Velocity is already defined. When we make a new variable, then we need to say what type it is or let the computer figure out what type it is. Otherwise, they're all variable type, which is slower than strictly typed. Velocity already exists, so we don't need the walrus operator. We just need to assign a new value to velocity. So whenever it hits it, it's good. When we hit that area, we'll just bounce back. Uh-oh. Why did it not bounce back?
Does it need to be a vector 3 since velocity's
Velocity is just 2 in this case because we're just in 2D. So if we did like
right.
negative
Never mind.
600 or whatever I just put there. Whatever those numbers were. It's not that. It's not that. Is that not the one I wanted? Maybe I put that on the wrong spot. I almost never use areas. Let me try putting that on body shape entered. Maybe this is the one I want. Connect that, which is not at the bottom. Let's move that up here. I'll pass on that one and then put this here. I might have clicked on the wrong function. Which actually means to probably get rid of that altogether. Disconnect that one. Make sure there's only one thing happening. There we go. Okay, so I picked the wrong event. I almost never use areas. So body shape would be the collider. We're actually interacting with that collider. It should be going back 300 pixels as well, but bouncing works. I don't know why it's not going backwards. That might be a little fun thing for y'all to play around with. It's getting really dark outside quickly. And I'm outside of the area that was marked on the map. So Um, oh, areas can be nice for this. So I come over here and turn that picture off, right? And then the picture is just something for the developer. All of that stuff is still there. So why did it go up first? I don't know why it went up first. But for like traps in your game and stuff, we hit a certain spot. Um, so maybe instead of just changing the velocity, when this happens, we spawn enemies. We hit that certain spot where our enemies start spawning, or hit save spots or something like that. Bouncing works for us. If I make that flatter, so grab the picture like that, and the collision shape, make it flatter. There we go. Now I can turn that into a story really quick. So for a story, here's our little character, and that's maybe trampoline in the backyard. So kid runs out, finally finished with his homework, and gets to go out in the yard and play. So he goes running out the back door and starts playing on the trampoline. There's a story. Not really a very good one, but a story. So we need to tell that story. So to do that, I'm going to create a new scene. I'll call this one intro. Go ahead and save this. Call it intro. And I guess for simplicity, I'm just going to put some words on the screen. Add some sort of text. Rich text label, that'll work. Stretch it out to cover the whole screen. Little Jimmy is finally finished with his homework, and now it's time to go play on the trampoline. So Act 1, I guess I didn't need nearly so much space for that. Move this down somewhere in the middle and make that nice and big. Add some exclamation marks to add excitement to the story. So with that selected, we come down to theme. We could set up a whole theme to make things consistent, but to save time, I'm just going to come down here and increase the font size to like 23 or something nice and big. There we go. That'll work. So now there's our intro cutscene. So if we run this, we got Act 1 of our story, but we don't really have a good way to get to Act 2. So that's where changing scenes comes in handy. I'll do it on a button click. Let's just look for a button. Make that a little bit bigger. And go play now. Something for the something to say, and then we'd set it up the same way. We could put another script or add on that button. But if we do button pressed, probably a nice, easy control to do.
How did you increase the size of the text? Did you use font size or?
Yes, so I went on the inspector. I scroll down to theme overrides and font sizes. The normal font size, I just increase that.
Yeah, when I do that, I get a weird distortion. I don't know why.
I do not know why either. It could be the font that's loaded in. or a theme. Try some of the other ones. Maybe if you made it bold. It's probably from the settings up at the top, but I don't know which one it is, would be. Just try a couple things. Notice when I do the node here and try that pressed, it can't see any scripts to connect to. So we could put it in a different level. It's probably easiest just to put the script here. That's what I usually do with buttons, or like main menu buttons. I'll just create a new script for the button. And now, if we go to the node, oh wait. There it is. I had to click a couple times to get back to it. I'm not sure why. When I added the script, the whole node panel went blank. So I just selected something else that went back to it, sort of a reset. Click, connect to that, and I'll just rename the function. You can stick with the original function. And then to switch scenes, down here in our file explorer, we see where our scenes are saved. So there's this resource tree. That's actually the folder. So resource : / means protocol. It always means protocol anytime we type that. So they consolidated it, and wherever this resource protocol is looking, you'll notice there's a couple of files there. If I go in the project, here's all those things. Maybe to make it clearer, I'll create a new folder. I'll make another folder here, just call it extra or something. When we come back over to Godot, notice that extra folder showed up. So that resource protocol looks at your project folder. Hopefully you have better organization than what I just put here. So to get to another scene, we can just grab it from that hierarchy. So get_tree refers to this hierarchy of resources. And if we do dot, there's a couple change scene to pack. We'll talk about pack files later, or pack scenes later. But change scene to file will fit nicely for this hierarchy we have here. So we want to change to our interact scene. I'm just going to click and drag it over. It's one of the nice things with this editor. If we just click and drag it over, it brings it into our script as a scene. And that, here's the introduction to our story. The general story, right? Kid runs outside to play, jumps on the trampoline for a minute. Just one part missing, right? We probably need some sort of absolution for this story. I'll just do a time. Let's do one more scene, same way. I'll create a new scene and just put in a text label, and I'll just do it sort of the same way. Add a child with some sort of text, which text label will work. Drag this over here. Maybe put some words in here. That was fun. There's our resolution for this story. And oh, I think mine's going to do the same thing yours did, Brady, because now my font is already bold. So if I go to theme overrides, font sizes, and make this bigger. Oh, it didn't get blurry. This time I did have a bold one. I was expecting it to get blurry. I thought I could recreate your error, but I couldn't recreate it. Check the settings. So I only have the normal font uh, selected, and then everything else was in the default settings. That'll be the final version, so I'll just give that a quick
Yeah, I
save.
don't know. I didn't alter anything besides immediately open up the thing and swap in the, adjusting the normal. I literally typed in, went down, adjusted the font size, and I don't know.
Yeah, after we finish up, we can look at it. So
I saw
here's
your
our
camera.
final.
You were very dark.
Yes, I need to plug my light. So we should probably wrap up, and so we can go look at the clips. The outro would be the same. I was going to put a timer here, but now is probably a good time to. That would be exactly the same. You don't want to go look at the eclipse because it's getting dark outside. So we should probably go look at that instead of finishing this. That would be a good thing to finish out. Make an outro scene just to finish that up. Make sure you can. No new information there. I was going to put a timer in there, but we'll look at timers Wednesday because there's something cool to look at outside. We should probably go do that, right? Does anybody have any questions about those signals? Wait a minute. 5 seconds. Okay, well, if you have any questions, let me know. Right now is probably a cool time to walk outside. Otherwise, I'll see y'all on Wednesday. It'll be a short class on Wednesday. See if you can finish up changing scenes to the outro if you're following along there. And I will see y'all on Wednesday. So everybody enjoy the eclipse and have a good afternoon.
You too. See you.